Her heart swelled with a mixture of fear and determination. "The past is no longer a weight to bear alone," she declared. "Together we will tend these memories, and from their petals weave a future where all can bloom." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, a fragile but undeniable promise of change. And somewhere deep within the flower, the soul of King Velen stirred not with malice, but with a quiet hope that even the darkest legacies might one day find redemption. The journey was far from over, but beneath the endless canopy, amidst the whispers of leaves and petals, a new dawn was beginning to bloom. Alina Tar stood at the center of the clearing, her robes embroidered with intricate floral patterns that seemed to shimmer with life under the dappled light. Around her, the dense foliage rustled gently in the warm breeze, carrying the rich, earthy scent of wet soil and blooming flowers. This was no ordinary moment. It was the beginning of a new chapter for the Jungle Empire, a moment where science and mysticism intertwined in harmony. Alina knelt carefully, her fingers brushing the dark earth as she planted a small, delicate blossom, one of the rare flowers imbued with the memory magic she had spent years understanding. The petals glowed faintly with a soft inner light, a sign that the memories of the past were alive within it, waiting to be shared with the world in a gentle embrace rather than a harsh dominion. She felt a profound connection to the fragile life taking root beneath her hands, a symbol of hope and remembrance. Behind her, footsteps approached softly. Morrow, ever vigilant and steady, emerged from the shadows of the trees. His sun-tanned skin glistened with sweat from a day spent navigating the Empire's complex memory markets, and his carved wooden talisman swung lightly from his neck. "You're really doing it?" he said quietly, a mixture of pride and concern in his voice. Alina smiled faintly but did not turn away from the flower. "It's more than just a flower, Morrow. It's a keeper of stories, of pain, of triumph, of truth. This is the future we need to build, one where the Empire remembers but does not suffer under the weight of the past." Morrow nodded, his gaze drifting to the dense jungle beyond. "It won't be easy. There are still those who want to control the memories, to use them as weapons. But you're not alone anymore." Ellis appeared then, her presence like a soft breeze through the leaves. Her pale skin and silver vine hair caught the fading light, petals clinging to her cloak like whispers of forgotten dreams. "The dreamscape has shown me the path," she said, her voice both gentle and resolute. "The memories are alive, but they are meant to heal, not to harm. Your role is vital, Alina. You must be both scientist and guardian." Together, the three of them moved toward the village elder's home, a sturdy structure woven from wood and vines, filled with the scent of ancient herbs and the wisdom of countless seasons. Inside, Sari sat, surrounded by shelves lined with scrolls and artifacts, her deeply lined face illuminated by the flickering light of a lone oil lamp. Her voice was steady and warm as she began to share stories of the jungle tribe's tales of resistance, betrayal, and resilience that had shaped the Empire's history. "The past is not just a shadow," Sari said, "but the soil from which our future blooms. To forget is to lose ourselves. To remember, with care and courage, is to grow strong." Alina listened intently, her heart heavy with the weight of that truth. The Empire's collective memory was fragile, yet powerful, capable of both destruction and renewal. Her own journey, from a cautious botanist to the memory keeper, was a testament to that delicate balance. As night descended, Alina found herself beside a pool of crystal-clear water deep within the jungle. The surface was dotted with petals from the mystical flower she now tended. The stillness of the water mirrored the calm she sought within herself. The whispering breeze stirred the leaves overhead, and distant calls of night creatures echoed softly. In this quiet moment, she felt the full responsibility of her role settle upon her shoulders, not as a burden, but as a sacred trust. Her mind drifted to the challenges ahead. Political factions would not easily relinquish their grip on power, and the temptation to exploit memory magic lingered like a shadow at the edge of the empire. Yet Alina's resolve was unwavering. She would protect the memories, both the beautiful and the painful, ensuring they were honored and shared with empathy. To remember is to live, she whispered to the night, and to live is to carry the petals of the past into the light of tomorrow. The path before her was uncertain, fraught with danger and discovery. But Alina Tar, the memory keeper, was ready to guide the jungle empire through the tangled vines of history toward a future where memory and life flourished together in harmony. Her story was just beginning, and with each breath, the petals of the forgotten bloomed anew. The sun rose again over the jungle canopy, casting long shadows that danced with the morning breeze. Inside the village's council chamber, a space alive with the scent of earth and ink, Alina sat at a carved wooden table surrounded by her closest allies. Scrolls and botanical samples were spread before them, evidence of the fusion of science and spirit she now embodied. "We must educate," Alina said firmly, "not just the scholars and traders, but every soul in the empire needs to understand the true nature of memory. It is not a commodity to be bought or sold, but a living thread that binds us all." Morrow leaned forward, his eyes sharp and steady. "The markets will resist. Traders like Doran won't give up so easily. We need a strategy that balances openness with protection." Ellis's voice was calm yet impassioned, "And the dreamscape can be our guide. Through it, we can reach those who are lost, those who fear the past. We can heal the wounds buried deep within the collective unconscious." Sori nodded in agreement. "The elders will support this. The tribes remember more than most. They will be the foundation of this new understanding." Alina felt a swell of hope as the group's vision took shape, a tapestry woven from knowledge, empathy, and courage. This was no longer her burden alone, but a mission shared by those who believed in a future shaped by the truth of memory. Yet even as plans unfurled, shadows lingered at the edges. Whispers of dissent stirred in the undercurrents of the empire's politics, and the delicate balance she sought to create was fragile as a petal in a storm. But Alina was ready. With the flower's magic blooming within her and the steadfast support of her friends, she would face whatever came with the quiet strength of a keeper who knew that memory, like a garden, required both tending and protection. And so, with the jungle alive around her and the past whispering in every leaf and petal, Alina stepped forward into her destiny, the memory keeper of an empire reborn. The night deepened, and Alina returned once more to the pool where the flowers' petals floated silently. She closed her eyes, feeling the pulse of the empire's memories flowing through her veins. In that stillness, she found peace, not the peace of forgetting, but the peace of acceptance and renewal. For the journey was far from over. But now, armed with knowledge, compassion, and the sacred trust of memory, Alina Tar was ready to lead the jungle empire into a dawn where past and present blossomed together in endless harmony. And as the first stars blinked awake in the velvet sky, a single petal drifted upon the water, radiant a promise of what was and what could be. The memory keeper had arrived. Alina Tar sat cross-legged on the mossy ground, the rare flower cradled gently in her hands, its delicate petals shimmering faintly in the fading light. Around her, Morrow and Ellis settled into a loose circle, the three forming a quiet sanctuary amid the wild, unpredictable heart of the empire. Morrow's sun-tanned skin glowed faintly under the bioluminescent flowers that clung to the twisting branches overhead. His carved wooden talisman rested heavy in his palm, a grounding presence against the swirling uncertainty that had become their world. Across from him, Ellis seemed almost ethereal, her pale skin reflecting the soft light, her silver vine hair cascading like threads of moonlight, petals woven into her cloak, rustling with each subtle movement. Alina inhaled deeply, the scent of damp earth and blooming flora mingling with the faint, lingering essence of the tyrant king's memories locked within the flower. It was a scent both intoxicating and unsettling, a reminder of the delicate balance they had to maintain between power and compassion. "We've come far," Morrow murmured, breaking the comfortable silence. His voice was low but steady, a warm rumble that anchored the moment. "But the path ahead is fraught with shadows. The memory market hasn't forgotten, and neither have those who would see the flower used for their own ends." Alina nodded, her green eyes reflecting the flickering light of the glowing blossoms. "I feel it too. The weight of what this flower carries, and what it means for the Empire." Ellis's gaze was distant, thoughtful. "Memory is not just a weapon or a currency," she said softly. "It is the thread that weaves us together, that binds past and present. We must protect that thread, but also honor its fragility." A gentle breeze stirred the petals surrounding them, and Ellis reached forward, her fingers brushing a silver vine crown she had crafted earlier. With reverence, she placed it upon Alina's dark braided hair. The crown shimmered softly, entwined with delicate blooms that pulsed faintly with life. "This is more than a symbol," Ellis whispered. "It is an acceptance of your role, not just as a botanist or a keeper of memories, but as a guardian of the Empire's soul." Morrow's eyes met Alina's, a fierce protectiveness shining through his steady gaze. "You won't face this alone. We stand with you." The warmth of their shared commitment settled like a bomb over the unease that had shadowed Alina's heart. She allowed herself a rare smile, the kind that reached her eyes and softened the lines of worry. But as the night deepened, a distant rumble echoed from the memory market, below, a stark reminder that peace was fragile and threats were never far. The sound was a low, ominous growl beneath the symphony of the jungle, and it drew a shadow over their sanctuary. Alina's fingers tightened around the flower. "We have work to do. The Empire needs more than guardians, it needs hope." Ellis rose gracefully, petals cascading like a living cloak, and Morrow followed, talisman in hand. Together, they stepped into the shadows, their silhouettes framed by the pulsating glow of the blossoming petals that seemed to breathe with life itself. The jungle whispered round them, alive with secrets and promises. The journey was far from over, but in this moment, united in purpose and bound by empathy, they were ready to face whatever storms awaited. The petals held their promises, and so did they. As they moved forward into the night, the flower's glow brightened, a beacon of fragile hope amid the encroaching darkness, and with it, the fragile promise of renewal whispered on the wind, waiting to blossom. The night was thick with the scents of rain-washed leaves and the faint hum of distant memory traders moving through the jungle paths below. Alina's footsteps were soft on the moss, her senses alert yet calm. Beside her, Morrow's steady presence was a comforting weight, while Ellis's quiet grace wove a protective aura around them. In the days to come, their bond would be tested by betrayal, by the ruthless ambitions of those who coveted the flower, and by the ever-present pull of King Velen's soul within the petals. But tonight, under the watchful eyes of the jungle's ancient spirits, there was only trust and the unspoken promise to protect the fragile thread that held their world together. And as the first stars pierced the canopy, Alina allowed herself to hope not for power, but for healing. for the petals of the forgotten king to bloom into something new, something better. The journey was far from over, but the seeds of promise had been sown. What would grow from them, only time and courage would tell. As dawn crept over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of amber and rose, Alina paused at the edge of the clearing. The flower in her hands pulsed faintly, alive with memories and magic, an eternal testament to the Empire's complex past. She inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of her new roles settle firmly within her. The road ahead was uncertain, but with Morrow and Ellis by her side, she was no longer alone. Together, they would face the unfolding chapters of memory and power, petal by petal, promise by promise. And the jungle waited, holding its breath for the story yet to bloom. Around her, the gathered crowd stirred quietly, a mosaic of faces young and old. Warrior and scholar, trader and dreamwalker reach, carrying the weight of a history long buried beneath layers of silence. In her hands, the flower pulsed softly, its petals unfurling with a gentle luminescence that seemed to breathe with the heartbeat of the jungle itself. For years, memories had been the Empire's most precious currency, traded like gold in shadowy markets, whispered in secret, and locked away in the minds of those too afraid to face the past. Yet today marked a turning point. Under Alina's guidance, the once forgotten Tyrant King's soul, entwined within the flower's fragile form, had become a catalyst for transformation, a bridge between the Empire's fractured history and its uncertain future. The ceremony began with a low hum, rising from the assembled crowd like the subtle rustling of leaves, a sound both ancient and alive. Alina's voice, steady but soft, wove through the air as she recited the invocation taught to her by Sori, the village elder. We remember not to bind ourselves to pain, but to honor the roots from which we grow. Around her, petals from the flower scattered, drifting on the breeze like whispered secrets. The scent of blooming orchids and damp earth wrapped the clearing in a cloak of familiarity and mystery. As the chants swelled, the crowd's faces transformed. Some closed their eyes, surrendering to memories long denied. Others watched with wide, cautious eyes, unsure of what the future held. Nearby, Morrow stood vigilant, his carved wooden talisman clenched tightly in his hand. The memory markets had buzzed with rumors of unrest, factions wary of this public acknowledgement of the Empire's dark past. Yet, amidst the tension, he felt a flicker of something new hope. The market's once secretive whispers were giving way to open conversations, and the fragile social balance was beginning to shift. After the ceremony, Alina retreated with Ellis into the quiet sanctuary of the dreamscape. Here, the world bent and shifted beneath their feet, petals swirling in iridescent currents, carrying voices of the past. Ellis's pale fingers traced patterns in the air as she spoke softly. The colors change, Alina. The reds of suffering soften into pinks of forgiveness. This is the path we must walk, delicate and uncertain. Alina nodded, feeling the weight of the tyrant's memories mingle with her own. The dreamscape was a mirror reflecting not only the Empire's history, but the fragile threads of her identity. Each step forward was both a revelation and a challenge. Back in the waking world, Sori gathered villagers around flickering fires beneath a twilight sky. Her voice, rich and steady, carried the ancient songs of the jungle tribe's melodies, steeped in sorrow and resilience. Faces painted with symbols of loss and rebirth glowed in the firelight, united in a shared reckoning. Our stories are not shackles, Sori intoned, but seeds for the future. Despite the ceremony's success, resistance simmered beneath the surface. Some feared that reopening old wounds would fracture the Empire anew, Others worried the flower's power might be too great to wield responsibly. Alina understood the delicate balance she must maintain between remembering and forgetting, between destruction and renewal. As night deepened, Alina stood once more beneath the vast canopy, the flower's gentle glow a beacon in the darkness. The journey ahead was uncertain, fraught with peril and promise. Yet, within the echoes of the past and the blossoms of change, she found a quiet strength, a determination to guide her people through the tangled vines of memory, toward a future where pain could coexist with hope. The jungle whispered its ancient secrets, and Alina listened, ready to carry them forward. The days that followed saw a ripple of change spread through the empire. Markets that once thrummed with covert exchanges of memories now hosted open dialogues where elders and youth shared recollections, and storytellers wove the tyrant's legacy into the tapestry of collective consciousness. Alina and her allies, Morrow and Ellis, moved cautiously through this shifting landscape, aware that every step forward invited new challenges. Morrow's presence was a grounding force amid the swirling tides of transformation. His pragmatic wisdom tempered Alina's idealism, reminding her of the human cost embedded in the memory trade. "Change is never without sacrifice," he said one evening, as they watched the sun dip behind the jungle canopy. "We must be ready to protect those caught in the crossfire." Ellis, ever the enigma, guided Alina deeper into the mysteries of floral magic and dreamwalking. Together, they explored ways to weave memories into living forms, flowers that bore the essence of history, petals that whispered forgotten truths. These botanical marvels became symbols of reconciliation, tangible reminders that the past could be preserved without domination. Yet, old fears lingered. Some factions sought to seize the flower's power for control, others to erase the tyrant's shadow altogether. Alina felt the subtle pull of these forces, the fragile peace threatened by those unwilling to embrace the full complexity of memory. In a quiet moment, Sori approached Alina beneath the stars, her voice low and resolute. "Your path is not easy, child, but the jungle teaches us strength grows in the soil of pain." Alina met her gaze, feeling the enormity of her role as guardian of memory and life. The echoes and blossoms of the empire's past called to her, urging her to nurture the fragile shoots of hope. As dawn broke over the jungle, Alina inhaled the rich scent of earth and petals. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in generations, it was hers to shape, and the flower in her hands gleamed with the promise of a new beginning. But as the sun rose higher, a shadow flickered at the edge of the clearing, a reminder that the past never truly fades, and the dance between memory and oblivion was far from over. Alina's journey was only just beginning. Alina Tar stood silently amidst the thriving blooms, her breath slow and steady as she inhaled the heady scent of jasmine and wild orchids. Each petal seemed to shimmer with a delicate dew, as if the garden itself was breathing alongside her. It was here, in this fragile sanctuary, that she found the peace she had long sought, the space to reconcile the shadows of the past with the fragile promise of the future. Her fingers brushed gently over a cluster of vibrant petals, their colors a tapestry of reds and purples, blues and golds, each flower a testament to the complex memory woven into their roots. The garden was no ordinary place. It was a living archive, a song of history and hope intertwined, tended by Alina and the allies who had become her family. Morrow's steady hands had helped shape these beds, his laughter often echoing amid the leaves, a balm to the wounds left by years of conflict and loss. She turned as Morrow approached, his familiar presence grounding her. His sun-tanned skin glowed faintly in the morning light, eyes steady and warm beneath his furrowed brow. "The blooms are thriving," he said, voice low yet filled with quiet pride. "They're as resilient as we are." Alina smiled, the corners of her mouth softening. "Resilience is a song we've learned to sing together." Together, they moved through the garden, sharing stories of the struggles and small victories that had marked their journey. Morrow spoke of his family, the dangers memory traders still posed, and the fragile peace they now cherished. Alina listened intently, her heart swelling with gratitude for the steadfast friendship that had carried her through the darkest nights. As they worked, a gentle shimmer caught her eye. Elis emerged from the shadows, her pale form cloaked in petals that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly light. Her silver hair flowed like vines in a breeze that only she could feel, and her eyes held the depth of countless dreamscapes. Without a word, Elis began to sing a haunting melody weaving through the garden like a soft wind, coaxing flowers to open their hearts fully to the sun. The garden responded in kind, petals unfurling in a radiant display of color and light, as if the song itself was a spell of renewal. Alina closed her eyes, allowing the magic to wash over her, bridging the realms of spirit and nature. It was in this moment she understood the true power of memory, not as a chain to bind or a weapon to wield, but as a garden to nurture, where pain and beauty could coexist and grow. As twilight descended, painting the sky in hues of lavender and rose, Alina found herself drawn to the glowing flower that had once harbored the soul of the tyrant king, Velen. No longer a symbol of fear and domination, it now stood as a beacon of reconciliation, reminder that even the darkest histories could yield seeds of hope. The night creatures began their gentle chorus, and Alina felt the weight of the past settle into a peaceful quiet within her. She knew the path ahead would not be without challenges, that the delicate balance she had embraced must be guarded with vigilance and love. Yet, in her heart, a quiet determination took root. The garden was singing its song, and Alina was ready to carry its melody forward, tending the fragile blooms of memory and life, weaving a future where the Empire could remember without fear and dream without losing itself. "We are the guardians now," she whispered to the night, her voice steady and sure, "and this garden is our song." As the stars began to glimmer above the jungle canopy, Alina stood tall, a solitary figure silhouetted against the vast sky. The past and present intertwined within her, a living testament to the power of memory and the promise of renewal. The journey from dread to hope was not a simple one, but it was hers to walk, and she would do so with courage, compassion, and an unyielding belief in the garden's song. The night deepened, and with it, the quiet hum of life pulsed stronger in the heart of the jungle empire. Alina's story was far from over, but the seeds of a new beginning had been sown, ready to bloom in the days to come. And somewhere, in the whispering leaves and the soft petals, the empire listened, ready to remember, ready to heal, ready to be whole. Alina Tar stood at the edge of a small clearing, her fingers stained with the vibrant hues of crushed petals. The rare flower she had nurtured, the one harboring the soul of King Velen, had blossomed anew, its magic pulsing faintly beneath her touch. Around her, the hum of the jungle wove a steady rhythm, a gentle reminder of the life that thrived amid ancient secrets. Today was different. The air held a charged expectancy, as if the very plants themselves were aware of the shift about to take place. Alina's heart beat steadily, her breath calm but purposeful. Beside her, Elis knelt, her pale hands weaving intricate patterns in the air, petals falling like soft rain around them. The dreamwalker's silver-vined hair caught the morning light, shimmering with an ethereal glow. "Are you ready?" Elis's voice was a whisper, yet carried the weight of centuries of memory guardianship. Alina nodded, her green eyes reflecting both the verdant jungle and the flickering light of the small brazier between